Mm. Hello, my name is Clifford May Henderson. I am the author of a book called Perfect Little Worlds, published by Bold Strokes Books in 2019. It is the Golden Crown winner for 2019 in the general fiction category. I'm going to be reading to you from uh, the second chapter. And I want to thank you very much for stopping in. And here you go for the reading. The chapter is called When All We Had Were Landlines. October 9th, 1989, Portland, Oregon. I was sitting in my small kitchen with my best friend, Toy. My second story flat sat right under where the aerial tram is now. Like many photographers, Toy made a good portion of her living shooting weddings. I baked custom cakes. We were both single lesbians and, ironically, got much of our business from Dune, a wedding planner, also gay. He was every bride's dream, a screaming queen who could talk tulle and shrimp canapes until even the most eager of brides howled uncle. Called his business Fabulous Weddings. I'm not kidding. We were quite the outfit, middle aged single homosexuals preying on the happily ever after dreams of young, starry eyed heterosexuals at a time when we couldn't legally marry. I'm dreading Sunday, Toy said, topping off her glass of Cabernet. Toy loved her Cabernet. Tall and muscular, she cut a striking presence. Her skin, a gorgeous olivey cocoa, had an amazing sheen, and she moved like a professional athlete, hopping over chairs, slaloming through tipsy guests and tables covered in fancy finger foods to get the perfect shot. The bride's mother has called me a gazillion times, she continued. She's an amateur photographer and worried about the light. Thinks we should move the gazebo. I keep telling her I know the park. I've shot weddings there before. I pulled a tray of chocolate chip cookies from the oven. Pass her off on Dune. That's what he gets the big bucks for. I was a few years into being single, and its perks were starting to wear thin. As for Toy, she was in one of her I'll never date again phases, which is to say, we were both more or less happy, hanging out in our sweats on a Monday night, drinking cab, and feasting on homemade chocolate chip cookies. Toy peeled a molten cookie off the pan. She had asbestos fingers, that one. Think I should get my hair cut? Why? She carried her cookie over to the small, round mirror above my kitchen light switch. I had little mirrors positioned all over my second story flat, an attempt to feng shui myself into abundance and well being, and while I hadn't noticed a dramatic change in either category, I hadn't given up hope. Toy fussed with her shoulder length dreadlocks. I've been thinking of shaving my head just to shake things up. Shaving your head at our age smacks of a midlife crisis. I cranked open the window to fend off an oncoming hot flash. That, or people will think you have cancer. I told you about that dyke zygote that called me a Whoopi Goldberg wannabe. I'll admit I'm embroidering the scene a little. While it's true, Toy was always calling young people zygotes or embryos or guppies, I have no idea if she'd just done so when the phone rang. I'm just giving you a taste of the carefree life I was living at the time. I'm sure I waited for the answering machine to pick up. I wouldn't have picked up with the cookies just out of the oven. And since my home phone also served as my business phone, I had to draw the line somewhere. I'm equally sure when I heard who it was, I picked up immediately. Emma, I'm here. Is everything okay? Emma Buswell lived across the street from my mom and Alice in Santa Cruz. She was a nosy pants, but I appreciated her immensely. She called when the ambulance hauled off my dad, called when my mom tripped on the curb and sprained her wrist, called when Alice was using a leaf blower at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Okay, so I didn't appreciate that call so much, but in general, I welcomed her communications. A middle aged, self proclaimed earth mama, she wore scads of jewelry, rings couched in the fatty pillows of her blunt fingers, an army of silver bangles that jangled at her frequent gesticulations. I could hear the bracelets over the phone clinkety clink, clink. You need to come. Why? What happened? I haven't seen your mother or Alice outside for weeks, not since the middle of September when Alice hauled a bunch of furniture out on the street and stuck free signs on it. Wait, what? She gave away Mom's furniture? I glanced at Toy. She knew Alice, knew how uncomfortable I felt leaving her and Mom living alone together. Not all of it, but a stack. You know that nice couch, that walnut roll top desk? Mom's leather couch? Toy shook her head and chuckled. Hoo boy. I'm going to give Alice a call, I said, by way of closing out the conversation. Thank you for calling. The woman would talk your ear off if you let her. Toy topped off my wine glass. Trouble in Surf City? Do you mind if I? Of course not. Go at it, but no guarantees there'll be any cookies left by the time you get off the phone. And say hello to that nutty sister of yours. I took the phone into the small alcove off the kitchen and gazed down onto the mossy postage stamp yard where my downstairs neighbor was trying unsuccessfully to grow pot. What had I been thinking, leaving Alice and Mom alone in the house after Dad's heart attack? I'd known Mom was starting to lose it even then. The truth was, I'd let Alice convince me that everything would be fine. We've lived cheek by jowl this long, sis. I'm sure we'll do okey doke. She picked up on the second ring. Muston residence, how may I help you? I pictured her in the cramped hallway between the bathroom and her bedroom, using the mustard-colored phone with the long cord. It was the only phone she'd used, despite my having bought her and Mom a new cordless one. She saw no point in it. Why would she want to walk while talking on the phone? I pictured her wearing one of her kilts and a light sweater or t-shirt, knee socks, and a clunky pair of shoes or boots. I pictured her gray hair pulled back in a ponytail, her thick Clark Kent glasses pushed up high on the bridge of her nose. She had a wide selection of kilts, collected them from all over the place. It's all she ever wore. Alice, what's going on? Emma says you haven't been out in months. Pretty much housebound these days, sis. Mom's short-term memory is pushing up daisies. She's packed her bags and returned to years gone by. Got her a walker, I did, but she refuses to use it. Thinks I'm Aunt Avakia half the time. Getting her out of the house is more trouble than it's worth, it is. Can't leave her alone, I can't. No, no, no. Unless we want all hell to break loose. I tried not to panic. With Alice, all hell breaking loose could mean anything from a light left on to a 4-alarm fire. She was born with Asperger's disorder, or that's what I believe. She might just have had a monster case of OCD or some other syndrome they have yet to classify, the Alice syndrome, but she was never diagnosed as a child and refused to be as an adult. Unless you counted one of the many diagnoses my mother gave her over the years, inhuman, devil child, stupid little goat, or the one the small town doc gave her, which was actually a diagnosis of Mom. He called her a refrigerator mother, said Alice's behavior was a result of her lack of maternal warmth. And while it's true that Yvonne May Muston was not the nurturing type, if you came in crying from a busted open knee, she'd point toward the bathroom and say, "Don't go bleeding on my good carpet," followed by, "I swear somewhere in Louisiana swamp there's a tree stump with a higher IQ than you." It stands to reason her lack of maternal warmth would have similarly affected me. It is also true that other mothers might have shown a bit more patience with Alice. "If you can't leave the house, how are you grocery shopping?" I asked. "Found a grocer that'll deliver, Sisteroo. Everything is fine. Ship shape. Aye, aye, Captain." I ignored Alice's attempt at humor. "Could you put Mom on?" "Put her on what?" Thanks to what I like to call Mom's Hollywood therapy, which basically consisted of forcing Alice to watch hours of TV and movies in the hope she'd learn to at least give the impression of being normal. Listening to Alice was much like listening to a bad actor recite lines. She'd emphasize the wrong words, would go up in pitch when the sentence wanted to go down. "Alice, I'm serious." "Okay, let's do it. Get on with it. Make it happen." There was a pause on her end. "Be right back." Another pause. "A slight caveat, Sisteroo. Since her bladder infection, she hasn't been the mom we all know and love." "Bladder infection? When did that happen? Why didn't you call?" There was no response. Apparently Alice had already gone to go get Mom. I scrolled through my mental calendar. How long had it been since I'd visited? 5 months? 6? I tried to get down as often as I could. Dad's death had accelerated Mom's mental decline, and I didn't think it fair for Alice to have to go it alone. I'd stay a couple of nights, do some cooking. I worried that taking care of Mom was too much for Alice. Mom's dementia made her even more impatient than usual, but Alice always assured me she had things under control. I can't tell you how many times I cooked up something special only to have them both dislike it. I think they were relieved each time I left. So was I. My relationship with my mother was strained long before she started losing her mind. Gripping the phone, staring down at my neighbor's sickly pot plant, I could feel my comfortable life in Portland shifting beneath my feet. I returned to the kitchen for my wine. Toy shook her head. That bad, huh? I didn't know how to answer, just tossed back what was left of my wine, poured myself another glass, grabbed a cookie, and headed back to the alcove. I was 2 bites into the cookie when Mom came on the line. Hello? She sounded like she was holding the receiver to her neck. I could hear Alice instructing her to put it to her mouth. Hello? She said again, her voice all warbly. Mom, it's me, Lucy. How are you doing? We had breakfast for dinner, used up all the eggs. 2 weeks ago, Alice interjected. That's when I got the feeling she was holding the phone for Mom. I told you I wanted soup. Okay, I said. Besides that, are you feeling all right? There was some shuffling on the other end. Mom? She left, Alice said. Got distracted, she did. Alice, what's going on? Told you, since her bladder infection, she's been more confused than usual. Has she been to a doctor? Yes, indeedy do. Didn't offer too many helpful hints, if you know what I mean. Antibiotics, all that. Infection's gone, but she's still confused. Well, what did they say? Tell me exactly, Alice. Hardening of the arteries. It's natural. She's old. I walked past Toy to the calendar in my closet/office, where I had a desk wedged in next to my sweaters. I was supposed to deliver 36 birthday cupcakes to Johnny Slatham's third grade class on Wednesday. My thought was to drive down after dropping them off at the school, stay for a couple of days, see what was what, then tank up on caffeine and make the 11-hour drive back to Sunday's wedding cake. For Sunday's wedding cake. 2 cakes, actually, a lemon poppy seed cake with buttercream frosting and a bizarre groom's cake, too, his mother's recipe. It would be exhausting, but I could do it. During wedding season, I'd been known to pump out up to 3 cakes a day, but in the fall, the jobs were few and far between. I really needed the money. Okay, look, I've got a few things I need to take care of, but then I can come down for a couple of days. Can you get the spare room ready? Will do, Sister Rue. I didn't wind up leaving until Thursday. So that's the read of that chapter. Again, the book is called Perfect Little Worlds, and it was last year's Golden Crown general fiction winner. So perhaps you'll pick it up and read it and enjoy it. That would be so cool. Anyway, and I always love to hear from my readers. So that's all for now. Thank you for checking in, and more to come, I hope.